This is lesson 4, elapsed time. Before we begin, you need to make sure that you have a duty clock and a dry erase board and marker so that you'll be able to try out the questions as we move along. For starters, I'd like you to set your clock to show the time that you're seeing on the screen, which is 7:15. Then we're going to be looking at the question that's at the bottom. It says, this is the time Rita woke up. She ate breakfast at 7:40. How much time passed? So we're determining how much time passes between 7:15 and 7:40. So I'm going to draw on 7:40 because if this is 7:15, 7:20, 7:25, 7:30, 7:35, 7:40. And we're determining how much time has passed between 7:15 and 7:40. So we're going to count by fives, starting at the first number past where the hand is. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes has passed by. How much time elapsed between the following times? Rita brushed her teeth at 7:30. Rita got to school at 8:15. Rita's lesson started at 9:05. So we're going to actually use the clock that you have, and I'm going to go back to the clock that I had to show 7:30 going to 8:15. So I'm just going to take out the hands that I have already on here, the information that we have already on there. So we are going from 7:30. So we're going to put in 7:30, and we are going to be determining how much time passes to 8:15. So how much time passes for the hand to go all the way around the clock to this spot. And of course, at that same time, our hour hand will be moving to the next hour. We don't really have to worry about that so much as the number of minutes that pass by. So we're going to count by fives, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 45 minutes pass by between these two numbers, these two times. And then from 8:15 to 9:05, going back to our clock again. So this time we are imagining that our hour hand is here. And on your clock, you can set the hour hand to that spot. And so at 8:15, and we are going to be determining how much time it takes to get to 9:05. So when the minute hand is here. And of course, during that time, our hour hand will be moving just past the 9. But we don't, again, have to worry about that so much as the number of minutes. And we can use our clocks to determine passage of time when the time that passes is less than an hour. So counting by fives, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 minutes go by. Rita put the cake in the oven at 7:45. The cake should bake for 35 minutes. When should she take the cake out? So you can set your little clock to 7:45, and then you are going to count 35 minutes from starting at 7:45. So again, I'm going to go back to the clock that we had, and you can view that on the clock. So we're looking at setting the clock to 7:45, and this time, 7:45. And we are going to be counting 35 minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we have passed the 12 when we do that. So we know that it's not going to be 7 anymore. It's going to be 8. And it will be the minute hand will be pointing at the 4, which means it will be 5, 10, 15, 20, 8, 20. Another way to do that is to use a number line, putting our starting time of 7:45 and then counting by 5, 7:45. So we're going to be going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So this is our 35-minute mark. And then counting, then setting our times. So 7:45, so 7:50, 7:55, 8 o'clock, 8:05, 8:10, 8:15, 8:20. So 35 minutes would be 8:20. The third lesson starts at 1:20 and lasts for 55 minutes. 55 minutes is almost an hour. So we could use math to figure this one out. 1 hour after 1:20 would be 2:20. And 55 minutes is 5 minutes less than a full minute. So we would take 5 minutes away from that, which means that we would have a time of 2:15, because 20 take away 5 is 15. The next one, the TV show ended at 8:25. It lasted 40 minutes. When did it start? So again, using our number line, 8:25 being our start time, and lasting 40 minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So here we have our 40 minutes. And now we're going to determine the time that goes by, 8:25, 8:30, 8:35, 8:40, 8:45, 8:50, 8:55, 9, 9:05. Here we have a timeline that has been created, and they're asking us what the scale of Rita's timeline is. A scale is the number of units that go between each of the lines that you see on the number line. Since we're dealing with minutes, so we're determining the number of minutes between each of the lines. Here we have 7:15 right here, and then we have 7:30. We know that that's 15 minutes in between. And here we have 7:25. So we could have intervals of 10 minutes, we could have intervals of an hour, we could have intervals of 5 minutes. Let's just see what they've done. So we'll take a guess at 10 minutes. If we go 7:15 plus 10, that would be already 7:25, which wouldn't match this line. So if we go with 5 minutes, 7:15, 7:20, 7:25, oh, that matches, 7:30. So we're looking at intervals of 5, 7:35, 7:40, which matches here, 7:45, 7:50, 7:55, 8 o'clock, 8:05, 8:10, 8:15, still matching, so our intervals are definitely 5, 8:20. However, we have this 9:05 here, so we know that at some point they have skipped over some numbers, because if we're at 8:15, we go 8:20, 8:25. This interval here is not 5 minutes. They've obviously done some rejigging in there. I'm not sure what they were thinking there. Rita returns from school at 3:40. She goes to bed at 9:05. How much time passes in between? Here, the intervals look a little different. We have 40 going to 50. So now we can determine that these are 10-minute intervals right here. So that's 10. This is 20 minutes. And then from 4, they switch from, our intervals begin to switch because they've actually switched to hours now. So from 4 o'clock all the way to 9 o'clock, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours that pass by. And then from 9 to 9:05, we have 5 minutes again. So we're back to minutes. So in order to determine the full time, we're looking at 5 hours, and 20 plus 5 is 25, so 25 minutes. How much time has elapsed? So 10:30 to 12:05. So we could count by 10, so 10:30, 10:40, 10:50, 11 o'clock. Then we could count by hours, so 12 o'clock, and then back, oops, sorry, that should be 12, and then back to minutes, which would be 12:05. So here we have 5 minutes from 1 until, so that should be 11. So that should be 10 o'clock right there. And we should have 11 o'clock. Kind of messing things up here. Sorry, my mistake. I'm really not paying attention now. Okay, so after 10:50, we should have 11 o'clock, and then going to 12 o'clock. So that should be 1 hour. And then from 10:30 to 11, we have 10, 20, 30 minutes. So 30 plus 5 is 35 minutes, and we have 1 hour and 35 minutes from 11:25, sorry, from 10:30 to 12:05. So now we are going to look at the next one, which is 11:25. I'm just going to move this number over here. So now we're going to look at 11:25 going to 3:40. So 11:25, 11:30. So if we're counting by fives, so 5 minutes have gone by. From 11:30, we're going to count by hours. 30. Actually, we're going to keep going for the number of minutes. We're going to stop at 11:40. So 11:35, 11:40. Because from there, once we get to 11:40, we are going to count by hours. So we have 11:40, 12:40, 1:40, 2:40, and 3:40. Now we don't have to deal with the number of minutes in between. So 11:40 to 3:40, we're looking at 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And from 11:25 to 11:40, we're looking at 5, 10, 15 minutes. So 4 hours and 15 minutes. From 7:55 to 1:45. $7:55, then we count by fives, we get to 8 o'clock. That's 5 minutes. And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock. And then we will go, those will be our hours. And then we will add 45 minutes to go to 1:45. Looking at the number of hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So 5 hours and 45 plus 5 makes 50. So 5 hours and 50 minutes. Can you calculate the elapsed time using subtraction? 30 take away 15 is 15. 8 take away 7 is 1. So 1 hour, 15 minutes. So yes, we can at times use subtraction as a method. So we can use a number line, we can use a clock, and we can use subtraction. So here we'll try these out. I want you to try them out first on your dry erase board, and then you can check your answer against what I'm showing you on the screen. 5 take away 5 is 0. 5 take away 1 is 4. 12 take away 9 is 3. See if you were correct. 10:45 take away 6:25 is 4:20. 6:58 take away 3:32 is 3:26. Hopefully you got all those right. Is this method always possible? Here we have 5:12 take away 12:25. If you notice that the number on top, including the 5, was smaller than the 12, you would realize that you cannot take 12 away from 5, let alone 25 away from 12. So what can you do? I would assume that they are talking about 12 noon and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If you know anything about the 24-hour clock, perhaps you can convert your time of 5:12 to 24-hour time. So 24-hour time, you would add 12 to your hour. So 12 plus 5 equals 17. So you could rewrite this question as 17, 12, take away 12, 25. But you still run into the problem of the 12 being smaller than the 25. So let's see what you can do. You can find elapsed time using subtraction with regrouping. You can't subtract these times as they are because you can't take 25 away from 12. You need more minutes in the first time. Regroup 1 hour as 60 minutes and add the result to the minutes so that 512 becomes 472. Now subtraction is easy. So just to show you again what they're talking about, these are hours, and hours have 60 minutes in them. So if I'm borrowing from that 5 to make it a 4, I'm actually adding 60 minutes plus 12 on this side. So it's not carrying or borrowing a 10 or a 100, it's borrowing 60. So that's where you get your 72. And that's why they have the 4 over here. And now they're able to subtract 25 from 72. So we're going to have a chance to try this method out. So if you want to try it out on your board first and then check your answers against what I'm showing you. We're going to borrow from the 7. It's going to become 6. I'm going to add 15 plus 60. So now I'm looking at 675. Take away 355. And you should have ended up with 320. Going again from the 9. Adding 10 plus 60. And in this case, when you go to borrow, you can just borrow as usual. 12 becomes an 11. I'm going to add 60 onto this side. And borrowing from the 6, we do that as usual. So hopefully you got those questions right. Cyril has to catch a school bus at 8:15. He woke up at 7:40. How much time does he have before the bus leaves? So when we're trying to find the difference between two numbers, we use subtraction. We write the larger number on top. We can't subtract as it is because 15 is too small, so we need to borrow. And we end up with 35 minutes. Find the time elapsed from 10:40 to 13:25. So here's an example of 24-hour clock being used. So 13:25 is the larger time, goes on top. Take away the smaller time, which goes on the bottom. We need to borrow because we don't have enough minutes. So that becomes 12. And then we look at 60 plus 25. And now we are able to subtract as usual. 125 to 342. 342 is the greater time. And in this case, we don't have to borrow minutes because 42 is larger than 25. So we just subtract as usual. So we should end up with 217. 10:53 to 2:35. In this case, we would like to convert our time to 24-hour time. So 12 plus 2 is 14, 35. Take away 10, 53. And we do need to borrow. So we rewrite it. Oops. We rewrite it as 1395 this time, take away 1053, which we are able to do. And the answer should be 342. And that's the end of our lesson.